Othello is one of Shakespeare's most studied and best-known tragedies. It is one of Shakespeare's great tragedies, along with Macbeth, King Lear, and Hamlet. And it's well worth studying for the way that it delves into the complexities of human existence, evil, jealousy, bitterness, revenge, and the chaos that comes from a person's life falling apart. I think it's always helpful to start with the context. This play was published in the year 1604. It's the second of his four great tragedies that takes place slap bang in the middle of his so-called tragic period. You see, from the year 1600 to the year 1608, during this period, Shakespeare churns out great tragedy after great tragedy. It's not that he didn't write tragedies before 1600, but all his great ones come after the year 1600. His work also takes on a darker hue as he grapples with the human condition and some of the darker themes to human existence. He particularly examines evil, not just human evil, but the concept of evil itself. And this, I think, is best seen in Hamlet, Macbeth, and Othello. Now, nobody knows what was going on in Shakespeare's life between the year 1600 and 1608, or why he began to write in the way that he did in his tragic period. There are theories, of course, but the truth is we simply don't know. Not that it matters, because what matters for us is the text itself. In terms of the setting of the play, well, it's set in Venice. At least the first act is set in Venice. From there, the threat of the Turkish fleet gets the characters to go to Cyprus, which means that everybody is removed from their normal comfort zones. I think this is important for thematic reasons later, but in terms of the plot, it also means that everybody is on unstable footing, as it were, from the beginning. Well, from the second act at least. The other aspect of setting that we need to be aware of is that there is a looming external threat from the Turkish Empire. Now, this looming external threat mirrors a threat that was happening in real life. Italy at the time was divided into city-states. Venice, probably being the most powerful at the time. The Venetian influence spread from Venice and its immediately surrounding territories all the way to Cyprus and either side of the Adriatic Sea. It was powerful because of trade routes. It was in the intersection of sea trade routes and land trade routes. Economics makes people powerful. They were very lucky to be situated where they were, but they were threatened because all of their territories on the Eastern Front were right up against the expanding Turkish threat. And that Turkish threat had expanded throughout northern Africa, and they were really a very powerful, dangerous, threatening empire to the European states. So that's what's happening in real life, and Shakespeare brings us across into the world of the story, the world of Othello. And it's this external threat that precipitates the move from Venice to Cyprus, and that's a plot device, but there's more to it than that. We will talk about it at a later stage, but I think that what you can have a look at there is that this external threat is the very obvious threat that everybody identifies, and yet there are more destructive, more subtle threats that they are blind to. And this mirrors our own realities. We tend to look for external threats, and we identify obvious threats and overlook the ones that are much closer by. It starts with Othello, who is the general of the Venetian army. He himself is not Venetian. He is not Italian. He is a Moor who is an outsider and is trusted so much and so highly thought of that he is entrusted with the important task of defending the Venetian territory of Cyprus, which is a considerable distance from Venice itself. So at the start of the play, Othello has got married to Desdemona in secret. Brabantio, Desdemona's father, is extremely unhappy when he hears about this, and he tries to petition the Duke to annul the marriage. He accuses Othello of bewitching his daughter and of using witchcraft or potions or something like that to win her affections, because he can't imagine that Othello would be capable of winning his daughter's affections. To his mind, his daughter is completely turned off by the idea of marriage because she has rejected all these other young Venetian highborn noblemen. And so he can't imagine why she would go and marry Othello, a much older general who is not a social match, who's an outsider, a military man, not highborn, and so on. That's the first act. Othello gets dispatched to Cyprus because the Turks are threatening to invade Cyprus. We have a time skip, and they arrive on Cyprus all separated because there's been a massive storm that has sunk the Turkish fleet, and all the different ships from Venice come in at different times. Othello hasn't had a proper chance to celebrate his wedding, and so he orders everybody to have a colossal party. The entire island, the entire city, is ordered to have a big party on the day that they arrive. He intends on celebrating his marriage properly, and here's where things start going sideways, because Iago hates Othello. We don't know exactly why he hates Othello, not going to get into it, but he hates Othello, and he wants Othello to suffer. He also seems to dislike Michael Cassio, Othello's lieutenant, a tremendous amount, because Cassio has basically got the job he wants. Instead of just whinging about it, he decides to do something about it.
Okay.
Are you kidding? That's unfair. She made those... I need to calm down. Everything's fine.
Amanda.
I'm an adult.
Unfortunately, he doesn't decide to do anything constructive about it. He decides to go about it in the most toxic way possible. And he uses Rodrigo to cause a fight with Cassio so that Cassio would be fired so that he could take Cassio's position. He gets Cassio drunk, because apparently Cassio is a little bit naive and cannot hold his liquor at all. Cassio gets in a fight with Rodrigo, and as a result, he gets in a fight with some other characters as well, and Othello has no choice but to fire Cassio immediately. Cassio is obviously distraught. He is shattered by what he has done because he knows he's got nobody to blame but himself. Okay, we know it's more complicated than that. Iago is on the scene. But he doesn't know that. And he blames himself for allowing himself to get drunk. He knows he shouldn't have drunk more. He's very ashamed. And also he's desperate to get his position back. His reputation is destroyed. His life has fallen apart to a large extent. And that's when Iago comes on the scene. And he offers free advice to Cassio. He advises Cassio to go and get Desdemona to plead his case to Othello on his behalf. And the more Desdemona tries to convince Othello to reinstate Cassio, the more he poisons Othello's feelings towards Desdemona by very skillfully, subtly, and manipulatively convincing Othello that Desdemona is cheating on him with Cassio. This drives Othello mental. Iago's jabbering poisons his mind, and he goes insane with jealousy and rage. To cut a long story short, Iago convinces Rodrigo to try and kill Cassio, because Rodrigo is still obsessed with Desdemona and is too stupid to realize that he is being used. Rodrigo fails, and Iago kills Rodrigo. Cassio is seriously injured. Othello kills Desdemona by smothering her because he thinks she deserves to die. And the play ends in tragedy, with Iago alive and probably facing the death penalty, but he never explains what he does. And when they try and find out why he did what he did, he refuses to answer. A final act of malignant defiance against the world. Because that is Iago. Against the world, against everyone else. He is for himself and himself only. And that's it, that's the plot. Now, we could go into more detail. It's a lot more complex in places, but that is the plot in a nutshell. There's a lot more we could say about Shakespeare's Othello, but I think that suffices for a brief 10-minute-ish introduction to the play.